Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hardcore Heroes. So, Kel Lori Goldfeather walks up to the dragon's cave by herself. Ballista's behind her. As she's approaching, Georg casts Enlarge, almost doubling her in size.
No, not her. He's casting Enlarge on the other knight. Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
Good catch.
What's her name? Morningstar or something?
Longstar.
Longstar.
She heads back after leaving the note and goes to stand behind the ballistas, which are loaded, locked, and ready.
She's ringing the bell as well.
Yes, ringing the bell as well. Everyone's kind of nervously standing around, waiting. Waiting.
I'm crouched, listening intently for any rumbling, for any sign of the dragon emerging.
There's an uncomfortable silence. And Nick, you're up in a tree as a sprite, right?
On top of the hill, yeah.
Okay.
The dragon attacks me from behind.
And Georg, you're standing in between the two ballista.
Yeah.
Okay. Just make a couple of checks here. Okay. There's a long wait. Not that long, but in your mind it's stretching on. There's no sign of the dragon from your point of view because you couldn't see it until it left the cave, but no one else in the ground seems to be reacting to anything.
Yeah.
And there's a stirring in the water. You guys notice it only momentarily before bursting forth from the river. Just below the ballistas is the green dragon coming from the river.
I'm casting a spell.
It immediately, as it bursts from the water, just its neck craning out, opens up with a breath weapon on the nearby ballista, expelling a long
check
cloud.
And initiative roll.
I rolled surprise checks. No one's surprised, but it does. It's pops out and breathes on these folks right away. It's considered an ambush.
In initiative order. Okay.
Because the dragon shows up. It's like the equivalent of an archer popping up over a hill and firing an attack, and then everyone's like, "Ah, there's the archer." Not surprised by that, but he was, had an attack prepared ahead of time. Unleashing its breath weapon on that first section of people, doing
too much damage. Any of them to survive.
Yeah, but we're just gonna roll it publicly for everyone to see anyway.
Oh, awesome.
Doing 40 damage to the ballista crew and everyone around there. The breath weapon is, from your guys' point of view, you're super intelligent wizards, you don't have any problem guessing it. It's 50 feet long, 40 feet wide, and 30 feet high. It envelops that first ballista but can't reach the other one and can't reach the knight that's in between. Everyone around that ballista dies miserably.
Alright, but now it's initiative.
Now it's initiative.
Alright, who's rolling it?
We're gonna do
group modified by weapon speed or something.
I want the ballistas to do. We're just gonna do groups, I think. You guys can go individually, and then we're just gonna have each group roll a d10, and then the dragon roll a d10.
Okay. So do you want me to roll 60-10 for the groups?
Yes. Why don't you roll 60-10 for the groups? I'll roll a d10 for the dragon.
All right, Georg's rolling a 3.
Going clockwise from the one nearest the water by Georg. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 8, 4, 4, 2.
What happened to Miss Morningstar?
Miss Longstar?
Yeah.
She was between the two ballistas and not caught in the breath weapon.
Okay, so it was just the front ballista that was taken out, right?
Right.
So one crew.
Right. Georg, you rolled a what for initiative? A 3?
3, including weapon speed.
Okay, we're not going to bother with weapon speed. There's too many factors. So 2 for Georg, and what for Nick?
This is for me. 6.
6. Okay, so it's
I'm
going to
probably
go...
out of range there.
And... just getting these in position. Okay. One of those ballista crews is first. That's the second ballista crew. The one right to the left of Georg, above Georg on the map.
You want to do it then, Ryan?
That G it should probably be deleted. I'm right there. Yeah, so I'll shout in the water. And
Yes,
point
people
and
see it. And
fire.
how
Should I go
fast
ahead and
can
roll?
I'm just taking a look at the
That's what I was
rotational
looking at.
speed. Change
But
facing
listen,
is
it's
0.
0. So I think that means, but I think that it takes the full round regardless.
Right.
But I think these are all facing the right direction. It's just like this one,
Yeah.
the one on the far right. That's off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one I think is the only one that needs to rotate. And I think they can rotate in a single round. It just has to.
It just takes a round to rotate.
Right.
Okay, so you're the first ballista crew. I guess.
So do you want ballista or crossbows, Ryan?
Shit.
Ballista. I'm the engineer here. So am I rolling for just one ballista crew?
Yes, for now.
Yes. Now,
Okay, so it's a 21.
right, the dragon is
and-
mostly submerged, so it's got some pretty heavy cover,
But it is still.
but
So
it is sitting still, which is
Is
a
its
plus
largest
3.
dimension 30 feet or 80 feet? Or
Considering that it's the part of it that's above water, does not
I
break
think you should
any
either
of those.
give it cover or
or the dimensions.
change its dimension. You shouldn't do both.
Why
so
not?
if you want to use its regular dimension and say it's covered, or
Yeah, I'd
we
agree.
can just target what's above the water.
So if the dragon's behind 90% cover and has its toe
Right,
out,
so-
you should still get bonus for the dragon being so freaking big.
if you're going to include cover, otherwise you just roll against the toe and the size of the toe.
But that's what
right?
the... I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because you can't. If it's only small, if it's only as big as its head, then its head isn't covered.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The cover bonus is going to be, or the size bonus for it is going to be +2.
So it's a +5 on top of that.
2 for stationary, 3 for stationary, 2 for size is
lag.
+5, and then it is in most of its body is below the water. So I'm going to give it 90% cover, which is -10. So that's a 21 plus 5. Or I'm sorry, 11 plus 5 is a 16, which is going to be a hit.
AC 10 anyway, so yeah, definitely a hit.
Well, the dragon does have some pretty tough
So
scales,
okay.
so
Sure.
it's not a AC 10 actually.
Alright. 10 points of damage.
Boom.
Here's its HP. Did I never roll the dragon HP? Ooh, I think that's the one thing I forgot to roll ahead of time. Hold on, let me calculate its
It'll be a
HP.
satisfying roll.
That was a good first shot, though.
Yeah. I don't think I have enough D8s to cover its HP. We're gonna have to do it in 2 sets.
I'm getting a ton of lag.
Yeah.
Really operating time.
Yeah, not a good time.
Wow, is that right? Did I add those up wrong?
Neal's face when the dragon dies in one shot. No, in one round.
I
You
think
should
I
roll.
did some math wrong. Hold on, let's try this again.
Oh, there we go. Don't be re-rolling those dice, Neal.
It ended up with triple the HP that it should. So if you want me
Okay.
to not re-roll, I'm happy to do that.
Well, I don't want you to cheat as well.
No, I'm not cheating. I think I was just using a calculator and I must have not put a plus, so I must have added like, a 85 at some point or something instead of an 8 plus 5. Shit, I did it again. How? That's not. What's going on here?
I mean, assuming it's got like 15 hit dice, it should have like, what, 65, 70 HP.
Something like that.
So if it's like 200, then you probably are making a mistake.
Yeah, that's what it was doing. It was like 150, which is more than the max that it could possibly have.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, you did 10 damage to it.
10 damage.
Okay.
Good shot. Wait,
and then it is going to be 6 crossbowmen. The first 3 rolls will be the light. The second 3 rolls will be the heavy.
All right. What do you want? What kind of bonuses are we getting here?
Well, it's going to get -10 because the dragon's in a lot of cover.
We need 20s, right? We need 20s.
You need 20s. Yes.
Nope. Fucking hell.
They all miss.
Yes.
All right. All the 2s go next. That's Georg and 3 ballista groups.
All right. I cast improved blink.
1 ballista, 2 ballista groups. Neal.
I counted 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no! Whoops! I counted your 2. Okay, yeah, 2 ballista groups.
Yes.
Ryan cast blink.
Yeah. Ballista. So it's a total of plus. So it's +8 for the Thaco, +5 -10. Correct.
For the
+3.
That's D20 +3. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Is that a crit as well?
Ooh, that. What is the modified dragon AC against a ballista?
Should be AC 10.
That
maybe you could
is
give it like the magic bonus.
I'm not gonna have the dragon have AC 10 because it's a big creature with thicker scales than you would have for chainmail. So I've reduced its AC significantly, but it's not going all the way to 10. But that does clear by. It's +8 for ballista size, -10 because of the cover, +3 for stationary, +2 for size is a total of D20 +3, and that is a critical hit.
No, but I mean, why have we rolled 3 shots?
I don't know what the other D20 +3s are.
I thought there were 2. I thought there were 3 ballistas.
There are 2 ballistas. Yeah.
Okay.
So the last one we'll ignore. The other second one's a crit.
Yeah.
Sorry, the second ballista is the one that needs to rotate. Wow.
So 29 damage and a save versus death, please.
Saving throw versus death is a pass. And 29 damage. Oh dear God.
Fuck me. Alright, crossbowman. So, Neal, only 1 ballista got to fire on 2 because the last one that also rolled a 2 is the one that needs to rotate this round.
Okay.
Yeah?
Alright, we can just ignore it this round then, or say that it...
So I'm rolling 12 crossbowmen.
All misses.
No 20s. Yep.
Okay, so that is 3 ballistas that have gone, and 3 that remain.
Yes.
And Georg has taken his turn, and is now the 2 more ballistas, the 2 that go at 4.
Do it, Ryan.
You said 2 more ballistas?
D20 +3.
An 11
Miss.
and a 14.
Miss. Those both kind of graze the dragon and slide off of its heavy scales.
Let's get some crossbows. Fucking hell. How many D20s do I have to roll to get a 20?
Alright, leaving us with Malachi at 6, and 1 more ballista at 8, and the dragon at an unknown number. And we should also roll for, what's-her-name, casting the scroll and drinking the potion. So she drinks the potion this round sometime.
No, she doesn't read the scroll first?
Whatever.
She should drink the
Maybe
potion
she
first.
misheard.
I don't think anyone...
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. She's going first. Nick, what do you do?
Am I within range of the dragon to cast magic missile?
You are...
I mean, I suppose
750 feet from...
No,
750 feet from the dragon.
That's not right? Because it's not to scale.
This is a to scale map.
Yeah,
but I guess we didn't put our...
to scale.
Yeah.
I was, I think, 120 yards away from the entrance. So I'm probably...
Right. So 120 yards, and that's another 55 yards that they're away. It's not quite linear. There's a slight angle, so let's say 180 yards. 170 yards.
Alright, I'm gonna, as a sprite, I'm gonna fly forward to a closer tree and cast Mirror Image.
Okay. You find yourself in a closer tree, and you mirror image yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
think there's 2 more ballistae. I don't know where they go.
It's the dragon's turn.
But... Okay.
Okay.
The dragon submerges itself beneath the water. And disappears from view. Now, the water's fairly clear, but it's not perfect. And especially with this dragon swimming around underneath it, it's kind of stirring up some murk. So the dragon is effectively hidden in the river when it's near the bottom of the river.
How deep is the water?
It's
roughly?
pretty deep. This is the combination of a couple of rivers, and they're joining together right around here, so it's fairly deep.
Neal, I rolled d10s for my first set of 6 crossbows. Can I reroll them?
Oh yeah, please do.
Yeah. Oh, no mind. Okay, so can our ballistae fire or?
They
not?
can't see the target, and
They're
they
still
also
loaded.
can't. They can't like lower themselves to shoot in the river either.
All right. Yeah. Georg
so the dragon
shouts out, "Reload! Face the river. Has
Right.
to come up sometime."
The ballistas turn, start reloading.
You can still see it beneath the water, right? I mean, or see it bubbles, see where it's moving.
It's pretty murky down there. You could see it when it first dropped itself and moved. There was kind of like a cloud, a big plume of murkiness, that sediment that got knocked up, which covers an area like this. This whole region is pretty murky. But you don't see any movement within that now.
Where's our knight?
Well,
Is she flying over there?
not exactly perfectly to scale because the ballistas are not in place properly. The knight is currently, well, I guess it's the next round, so we should really roll initiative.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll roll the groups again.
Yeah.
I'll just roll 60-10. Oh, not as good. For me,
What spell I cast actually does depend on what I can see. So if I can get a position on the dragon, like if I can fly above and get a position on the dragon, I mean, I'll even do that at the end of the previous round after the dragon submerges, finish my movement.
Sure.
Link 15 feet into the air, fly a little higher maybe, and see if I can locate a dragon.
Give me a perception check.
As long as I'm accurate within plus or minus 10, 20 feet, that'll be fine for my purposes.
Sure.
D20 plus 12, 24.
No, not with the 24. You can't spot it.
Alright. So everyone's holding action, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cast a spell, I guess. Ooh, 9 at the end of the round.
I will, my initiative's on 5, so I'll wait till it's my turn.
Okay. So we're actually gonna pause for a moment here because you get your actions ready. And what spells are you casting actually?
Displace self.
Okay.
I was just gonna turn into an eagle.
Okay. So Nick can turn into an eagle. Ryan can cast Displace Self. The ballistas are all ready with actions held for whatever shit's coming up because they're ready now. They're focusing towards the river, but the
Takes
dragon
8
doesn't pop back out of the water.
Takes 8
And-
rounds to reload a ballista.
Okay, cool. So they're reloading.
So I'm circling around looking for the movement in the water.
You guys are
Nice.
flying around. You're not seeing much movement. The river begins to clear as the sediment flows out. It's not a fast-moving river, but it's enough to kind of move the sediment on. And the dragon's not showing back up. You guys got a couple of serious shots on it. You did, what, like 31 points of damage to the dragon in that first round of combat? And it doesn't come back out. 10 minutes pass, and the dragon is nowhere to be seen.
Ugh, wasted the scroll.
Yeah. She didn't end up reading it, did she?
She drunk
Maybe
the
not.
potion, and then
next round there was no
the next
dragon.
round there was no dragon, but it was beneath the wave, beneath the water. I'm gonna give her a chance to do it or not do it, depending on. I'm gonna give her like an int check. Yeah, she cast the scroll.
Okay. So I'm on recon duty. I'm
Are
flying
there
up
any
and down the
dwarves
river
nearby
looking
that I
for
can yell at?
No, there's no dwarves standing nearby.
Okay.
All right, what were you saying, Nick? You're on recon duty.
I'm just gonna fly up and down the river and try and look for signs of it.
Yeah, same, I
Inconspicuously
guess.
As an eagle.
You start scouring the river for it, and there is no sign of the dragon. After maybe 20 minutes, the water clears, and you can
There
clearly
should have
see
been blood pouring out of that creature.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. The
Why
river
is there
water
no
did.
blood?
No,
Why is there no blood trail in the river?
well, because any blood in the river just gets washed down. But you did. There was a whole bunch of blood. Lots
And
of it.
I wasn't able to trace that to the creature.
No, because it's murky, right? So if the creature's in the murk, its blood just gets mixed in with the murk, and you can't really see it. And then since it's in water, it's all flowing out to the sea anyway. It uses the murkiness to cover
All
itself.
right, I'll order send some of the men to go fetch some dwarves. Fetch the miners from town.
Okay. Some dwarves come back from town. It's been 45 minutes and still no sign of the dragon.
Okay.
It has clearly retreated to somewhere out of sight. Now, you did have a pretty clear view of the river, and you can tell that it did not leave this block that I've highlighted, which goes past the mine entrance up the river.
Okay.
The dragon definitely, unless it's invisible, which is, you never know with the dragon, it didn't leave that section of water, but it is gone.
How do you know it
dragons
didn't
still
leave
make a
that section of...
splash?
What do you mean it didn't leave the section of water? How would we know?
Because you would have been able to see it swimming upriver, or you would have seen the murkiness spread around. So
yeah, so let's position scouts along this ridge here, and then over here to keep an eye on the river.
Yeah. So I've got a plan then. I can scout out where it is as a fish or something.
Be careful, or find the back entrance to the cave. All right. I'm gonna inspect the entrance to the cave. Actually,
Ooh, that might
staying clear of the gas.
You are not gaseous formed, right? You're full normal stone-skinned Georg.
Correct. Yeah, I'm stone-skinned Georg.
Okay.
But I'm going to start designing or thinking what would need to go into pumping the gas out.
There's a ventilation system. Yeah.
Yeah, repairing the ventilation system.
So I say to Georg, there might be an entrance to the cave below the water.
Well, duh.
Okay.
Are those dwarves here yet?
The dwarves do show up. Yeah.
What the hell, guys? This wasn't on the cave map.
There's no water entrance. That'd be ridiculous. We have to constantly pump water out of the cave. We wouldn't build anything that allows the river in.
Well, if we've constantly got to pump water out of it, then it must be...
Of course, there's 3 levels to the cave. It goes below the water table.
And is there any pumps that lead out into the water?
We don't have pumps. We use buckets.
How do you get the water out?
Someone goes down, fills a bucket with water, and walks out and dumps it into the river.
To the surface.
Yes.
So the dragon would have had to tunnel. Do dragons tunnel? What is this?
Well, what now? We're back at square one. Let's fix this thing.
Yeah, I mean, so I imagine it'll take days, but we'll see.
So you're looking at this thing. It's just, from what you can see, it's just a box that leads in. There was a contraption that attached to it that was a crank with some bellows, but that contraption is not destroyed. It's gone. Maybe the dragon threw it in the water. Maybe it took it in the mine. Maybe it ate the contraption. Who knows? But it's gone.
Well, I start designing a new one.
Okay.
And I guess we'll leave the ballistas here with men on watch 24/7.
Okay.
Let's toss I guess we'll leave the gold pile like a few feet from the entrance, maybe, in case it happens to walk out and read the explosive runes.
Okay.
So I think we should permanently set the men up here, have people bring supplies, and just wait. Is there any way you could get down there and wall of iron off the underwater entrance?
Sure. Did you scout out the entrance?
Well, if it's been 45 minutes, I will go and do that then, Neal. So I'll jump into the water, be an unscrupulous fish, and do a little drive-by.
Give me a perception check, Mr. Fish.
Yep. Perception. Remember, I've still got human seeing.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
So you start swimming around. You do come across what looks to be this shaft, like something has hollowed out a tunnel that leads kind of slightly horizontally at the bottom of the river, and probably goes into the mine.
okay. How deep down is it? How big's the hole?
The hole is maybe 15 feet across. Probably
deep?
not quite that big. It looks like it's probably just big enough for the dragon to squish its way through.
Alright, once I know it's there, I will retreat. Back up. Tell Georg its location. Tell him how big it is.
How deep?
The river is maybe 30 feet, 40 feet deep.
No problem. How big did you say? You said 50.
It's like 15 feet across-ish. Unless that you need an exact measurement.
I do, but I think 15 feet will be just fine to wall up.
Okay, cool.
Right.
How does a dragon tunnel through that much rock in like a week?
It's not all rock. It's not all
Obviously.
rock.
It's pretty good at tunneling though.
Yeah,
Apparently.
it is earth
right,
and
so
stone.
Malachi points it out. I fly over the river, stick my head under to get a look, flip back over, cast Wall of Iron over the entrance.
Fuck you, dragon.
The entrance is now walled off with a wall of iron.
Alright, I guess we've got to get the thing fixed up and then think about what going down there.
I guess, I mean, I could go in there, I say quiet enough so that just Malachi hears as a mist and potentially nuke it to death.
It's pretty brave. I mean, if you could, while we're waiting, if you could make another one of those potions, we could go down and kill it together.
Yeah, I guess it's yeah. Oh, just a sec.
Can I go away for 2 seconds now?
You can both leave for 2 seconds.
Alright.
Yeah. Still muted, Ryan.
You there?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay. Nothing. What were we were talking about? The potion of gaseous form.
Right.
And that'll take me
Can't
like a
be
week. I would have to go back to
harmed
Misty
by
Rapids.
Magical fire or lightning, which do normal damage, which means you can't even be harmed by magic weapon attacks, right? A +5 longsword would not hit you.
I think the example it gives is Sword of Sharpness was the stone skin. But yeah.
Okay.
So that is certainly an option. But I think we'll just probably camp out. I mean, we'll see what Nick says, but I was going to say we just camp out here for however long it takes. I don't think I want to go back to Misty Rapids to make a potion.
Yeah, that would take like a week to make anyway.
Yeah. And like if the dragon pops up, I'd probably be better off being here.
The gaseous form is transparent and insubstantial. It wavers and shifts and can't be harmed except by magic, fire, or lightning. Does that mean magic spells don't hurt you that aren't fire or lightning?
That's how it's read.
That is what it is written. That is pretty broken.
Yeah.
That definitely
Certainly.
needs to be patched. I mean, that's pretty much like, drink this, defeat anything that doesn't have a fire or lightning attack.
It only lasts, yeah.
It lasts.
Rounds. Well, you also can't.
D4 plus D4 turns. That's 40 minutes plus 10 to 40 minutes.
I mean, I think it's probably meant that you can't do a whole lot out of it. Like it's basically you're immune, but you can't really attack out of it.
Well, if you're able to cast spells out of it, then for a wizard, it's just an instant kill anything you want potion.
I don't think you should be able to cast spells out of it, personally. I don't think you should be able to cast spells out of Wraith Form either, but seems too good. Like you're saying, Neal, you just kill anything.
Yeah. I mean, the argument with Wraith Form is if a magical weapon can attack you through the Wraith Form, why can't a Wraith magical weapon attack out of it?
Right, and that works for me. That makes sense.
That makes sense, but being able to cast spells doesn't make sense.
Why not? I mean, yeah.
Because it says you can't attack, and the same wording is used for invisibility. and you can't cast spells on this. So
I think that's an argument for another day.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the patch notes telling me that it has been nerfed. So
Okay. So, what are you guys doing?
I mean, I think we're trying to keep camp outside, right? Wait for it.
Yeah. The ballistas are loaded, and we're starting to work on a bellows system to pump out the gas.
Yeah, and we're gonna take shift sleeping.
The thing has to come out to eat, right? How long can a dragon go without eating?
That's a good question.
You can probably find stuff to eat down in the cave, though.
Really? I don't think there's anything that lives there. I mean, maybe there's like some rations. But...
Couldn't it, like, is it beyond the realms of possibility to say a dragon could eat rocks? Like, I know that don't make sense, but, you know.
Who knows?
So, what are you doing? The day slowly passes. Your talk of
Georg is engineering the bellows and instructing whatever laborers are around in the construction of them.
Okay. The bellows will probably take a couple of... If you just want like one bellow that you can pump, you could probably build that within the day. Mm-hmm. They had previously designed a crank system, so it's a little bit easier, and you can just do things in a circle, which would take a few more days to build. So there is the question of if you're bringing fresh air in, that's going to pump the poison gas out. And since this...
Yeah, but diluted enough that it shouldn't matter. We can back up.
Well, but the bellow would have to be right next to the entrance, because the ventilation duct is right next to the entrance as well. So if you pump air, if you pump the gas out, whoever is pumping is going to be affected by the gas.
We just built some sort of a screen, like get like some bronze set up as like a shield to protect that man from it, to divert the outflowing air away from him.
Might work.
Or can just set it up and have an unseen servant.
That might work better. You might have a hard time convincing someone to go next to the dragon's lair and pump bellows near the toxic gas.
Yeah, I mean, if the unseen servant's going to work, but I think the duration's a bit too short. But, you know.
Yeah, unseen servant should be fine.
Okay.
And push typical 40 pounds.
How long does it last, though?
For me, like 2.5 hours.
How long is this going to take now? Like, isn't it going to take days?
It would probably take days to dump the gas out of the mine. It's a big mine.
At 16 hours a day, it'll take days.
But it set up the gas in like one day.
Well, like you know what you've seen. I'm not going to give you complete information.
Yeah, so within one day of spotting the dragon taking over the mines, there was gas billowing out of it. I guess it could have started with the entrance and gone deeper. Or maybe the whole mine isn't filled with gas. Maybe it's just the entrance.
Do you know what we could do? With that Wall of Iron spell, we could start like advancing into the cave and like blocking it off.
Behind us or in front of us?
In front of us. So we block
first off, that wall is permanent. Like, it's not like we can just dismantle it on a whim.
Can't we dispel it?
Do you have a dispel magic?
Yeah. Well, not on me, right? Not today, but yeah, I could.
The spell?
Yeah.
Yes, in theory, you could dispel it.
And then we could like leapfrog through the cave. Potentially get back attacks though. It's probably a very long endeavor.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything better to do other than wait for like a week doing this. Let's get it cleared out, and then in a week's time, when the men are starting to get weary, we'll start thinking about going down there.
Yep, I think we set up our camp here.
All right, you've got the ballistas set up, manned around the clock. People will take turns, 12-hour shifts.
Yeah. There are watches up and down the river, although we've got the back entrance sealed off.
We can bring more men in so that there's always the full army awake, right?
Right, because there are more men than there are crossbows.
Yes.
There's actually 4 times... for every crossbow, there's 4 people. So you can do 6-hour shifts all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Where the heck is Landslide during all this? He wasn't overseeing any of the combat.
No, he's the Chancellor. He's not a combat specialist. He's an administrator.
Interesting.
And, I try and get some dwarves to make a sheet to protect the bellows from the breath weapon. I think that'll work.
So can you give me a quick design of what you're talking about so I understand what you're thinking?
All right, so you've got the entrance of the mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is block off one half of it so that any air coming out goes this way, and then have the guy stand on the other side.
Yep. Okay, right, so just a simple metal screen.
Yeah, just to divert the. Gale could do it with his wall of iron.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, or we could probably set it up that same day.
Sorry, what was the plan? Well,
I'll draw it on the map, right?
Yeah.
So you've got your entrance to the cave here, yeah, and you've got your guy sort of stood here doing the bellows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now, air's going to be coming straight from there. But if you can't get the perspective right, but if you built a screen like this, now any air is going to come this way.
Right.
Right? Because it'll just be simply diverted by the screen.
Yeah, it might be a little bit more complicated than that, because if we're going to do a top-down view, here's the entrance, and here's the shaft into the mine. You've got the box that runs along the inside. So if you build a screen that just extends out, you're still going to have the area on top of that box that will leak, so you could build another screen on top of there. You can kind of it would be a two-screen, one on top of the box and one to the side of the box. And that might work.
I think that you were saying the water was coming out of the entrance, though, not out of the box itself.
Well, right. No, the box the box would have airflow in, right?
Yeah.
And then the cave would have airflow out. But if we view it from the front, right, the air box is right here. So you need a screen that comes down and a screen that fills in this. Right?
Sort of, unless it was the perspectives are getting funny. But if it started from it, oh, okay.
Oh,
there's your entrance. There's your box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if the screen sort of was against this wall on the inside of the mine.
Mm-hmm.
This. As long as it was flush to the floor and flush to the wall, I don't see how any air's ever gonna. It might go over the top and then come back down. All right, but that's.
So what are you doing about? Wait, so is this? I'm kind of lost on the perspective here.
So
can you give me a vertical view and a top-down view, so we don't have to worry about perspective so much?
Okay. Top down, right? Here's your box. There's the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like that. Across the mine, flush with the box.
Okay, but it's still you're still going to have these big triangles, right? Because you're not going to be able to be flush with the box and the wall, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Or I guess you could build a wall that has a cutout for the box already.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it can't be that hard to fit it.
Okay.
I just think that it should be quite trivial to divert airflow out of a thing away from a certain place.
Sure, that can be built.
All right. So maybe it takes a day, but we start.
Yeah, that can be built outside and then walked in by people.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that plan at all, but I guess Malachi can instruct the construction on that.
Sure.
It's just a metal sheet to divert the airflow. Yeah.
Okay. I'll subtract the cost of that from the treasury. Or you're keeping track of your treasury funds, right?
Yes, I am. So.
Okay.
How much?
Big ass shield of bronze.
Yeah. Let's see. That's gonna be
You're probably
10...
better off using wood or something. No, not gonna be sealed, but the metal will corrode.
Over time, right? How long would it take that metal to corrode? Probably.
This is a magic breath weapon.
It's true.
Who knows?
So if it's a 10 by 10 sheet, roughly, and then you're going to want it to be at least thick enough to stand on its own, so 10 by 10 by a quarter inch? An eighth of an inch?
Let's go for a quarter. Why not?
Okay. So 120 inches by 120 inches divided by 4. So that is 3,600 cubic inches of metal. What is the weight of 3,600 cubic inches of bronze? I just need the volume of bronze so I can know how much the materials cost, and then we'll...
Weight per cubic inch.
Per pound per cubic inch.
Is it brass or copper?
It can be brass, bronze, or copper, whatever you want it to be.
So it's about 0.3 pounds per cubic inch.
Okay. So times 0.3. So that's 1,080 pounds of bronze.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
How much did you say?
Times 50 divided by 100. So that's 540 gold worth of bronze, just for the materials alone.
That seems like that's well too much.
See, 120, 10 by 10 is 120 inches by 120 inches. So 120 times 120 divided by...
this for my wall of iron. I mean, my wall of iron is like 30,000 pounds of iron.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, that's like 5 times as thick or something, but...
Cubic inch times 0.3. Yeah, 1,000 pounds for a 10 by 10 by 1/4 sheet of bronze. So we're talking
500 gold.
500 gold for the materials plus the manpower, and then that's going to take a long time to build something like that. So maybe you're off with something wood is going to be faster. You could make a wood wall like this in a day. A bronze sheet is going to take you weeks to make.
Let's just do wood.
Okay, cool. We'll call that 10 gold then.
Much more agreeable.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So now you sit and wait. You build your wall. You move it in place. A very simple bellow is created that's big enough to, cover this area. It'll be one of the big things that someone's going to have to stand over and pump because this is a 1 foot by 1 foot tube.
Yeah.
So it'll be fairly large. Are you going to you're going to have an unseen servant operate it for 16 hours a day?
Tomorrow we can think about that. For now, it's a person behind a wall, right?
Yeah, it's just a person. That's the point of the wall.
Okay.
If they start complaining like itchy skin, we'll switch them out.
So, how are you going to convince a person to go stand behind this thing and pump it?
Tell them that they have to do it, yeah.
Or what?
Or, or they'll be held in contempt of order or whatever. Like, I don't know what happens if somebody refuses to fight in a battle.
I mean, that's... Depending on, if it's in the middle of a battle and someone refuses to fight, then they can execute them.
Right now?
Well, so you find a person, right? Do you find a peasant? Do you find a soldier? Do you find a noble? Who are you trying to convince to do this?
We use soldiers. I'll speak to one of the captains, one of the knights, and tell them that they're responsible for making sure that that's manned 24/7.
There you go. Delegate the task.
Yeah.
All right, I'll roll to see if the knight can convince one of their soldiers to do this. Let's do knight's charisma versus soldier's willpower with some modifiers. Knight charisma. No, you probably don't give it to the lowest charisma knight. Probably. Yes. There we go. Much better. 11 versus 11. Knight gets a natural 20 on the charisma, and the soldier gets a natural 1 on his willpower check. Imagine that. All right.
Perfect.
The knight strong arms a soldier into doing it, who shows up and starts pumping the bellows.
And once he doesn't die, other people start doing it afterwards.
Okay, so this screen is in place sometime the next day. And the bellows start a-pumping.
Alright, I think probably keep spells the same until we're ready to go into the mine, and then I might change them. But so maybe the dragon attacks us when one of us is asleep, but try not to let that happen.
Okay. So the first night, so you get all that stuff set up on the 21st. So the night of the 21st, and between that and the 22nd, there is an incident where someone's pumping the mine, and the wall gets kind of like smashed and destroyed from within by the dragon. I think the ballista on site could probably take a shot into the mine.
I think we are on site, aren't we? Aren't we?
Yeah.
Out here?
Are you on site in the middle of the night? You're not on site 24/7, and if you are, you're probably asleep at some point, right?
One of us should be at any one time, though. Right?
Yeah, I would assume I didn't have a tiny hut memorized this day, but I assume I would camp out in a tent. I don't know if I trust these people. You're right. I was probably back at the tower.
Yeah.
But messengers would have come, anyways. So
yeah.
King, what happened? So you're
there's this wall, right? It's at an angle to blow the airflow out over the river instead of hitting the person who's pumping it. So your view into the mine is obscured. So some guy's pumping, and all of a sudden the wall just kind of comes smashing down forward on top of him.
So the dragon swipes the wall.
Dragon swipes the wall in GTFOs.
This ballista...
that ballista should be able to get a shot.
Yeah, one of us should be there though as well. Like I wouldn't leave it without one of us there. So we take turns going to sleep. So whether it's me or Gail, someone should be there.
All right. Should we roll a D2 to see who's on duty?
Sure. Give me a D2.
1 is for me. 2 is for you. Are you rolling it? I'll roll it.
Okay.
1 is for me. So it's you.
All right. So Georg is on hand, hanging out, when the wall comes crashing down on top of the person, and then we should roll initiative right away.
Yeah, can you randomly determine where I am? Or something like that?
Sure, I doubt you're hanging out with the people right next to the ballista. They would... You probably don't feel comfortable, they don't feel comfortable.
We didn't declare this ahead of time, but I think we've got continual light. We made continual light stones. I assume that this guy pumping the bellows has one.
Sure, he needs some light to see his work.
And it's obscured by the wall.
Trying to say, it doesn't make sense not to have all the ballistae pointed at the entrance to the mine either, now that we've blocked off the underground.
They're pointing at the mine. This one's down. And
but the other ones can't shoot into the mine since they're above it.
Yeah, so I get an 8. Should I roll 1 for the ballista as well?
Yes, and I'll roll 1 for the dragon.
2 for the ballista.
Okay.
Nice.
So the ballista can go ahead and make a shot. Let me see. The dragon is in the mine. It doesn't have cover. The gas will cover its, giving it concealment, but it's also kind of the size. It's not quite the same as...
You can't really even miss Neal at this point.
You could miss the mine. You could roll like a 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's D20 plus 8, and it should be AC like 12 with the bonuses because it's stationary. And
it's got at least AC 14, according to Neal.
Right.
Gets +2 for being larger than 30 feet. Is it stationary at this point? I guess not.
Not. But I mean, I would say it's stationary because if it moves forward or back in a line, you wouldn't be changing the target. So even if it is moving, I would say it's stationary.
So an additional +5 on top of the +8. Are you giving any penalties?
Let's see. 2 for size, 3 for stationary, 8 for that. I'm going to say you got light stones. The mine itself, the gas is going to conceal it, but that's not going to be that big of a difference. Yeah, so why don't we just say +5 and 8 is 13?
13. Roll 20. Come on.
No, 9, but that's still a hit.
I don't see your roll.
I don't see your roll. There he goes.
Baggage.
Yep.
15 points of
15
damage.
points of damage. So the wall comes crashing down. The ballista streaks in, strikes the dragon, which gives out an epic roar of suffering. It goes on 7 and runs into the mine.
Do I hear the roar?
All right. So we're not doing no modifications for weapon speed, which
does kind of give the dragon a boost to everything.
It does. If there were weapon speed, my lightning bolt would go off before it. If not, we're gonna have to do some calculations on how quickly it can move in that.
Yeah. Dragon can move at that rate, and the mine inside...
I feel like there was a discussion about using modifications even in group initiative.
There might have been.
I was convinced, but apparently Neal wasn't.
That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. The dragon goes
so-
first, and I think it can back out to a safe area within that period of time.
I don't
based on its
think
movement
so. Hold on a sec. Is this mine? Well, in any case, I'm going to hurl a lightning bolt down the path, down into the mine, down into the mine, careening off of, probably at I guess straight in. It was probably What are the dimensions of this mine map? Are there any?
The mine map isn't marked with dimensions,
So
it's not to scale.
subject to DM hacks, and you're telling me the lightning bolt does nothing.
Let the salt flow, Ryan. Let it flow through
right.
you.
Well,
So
in this
hold on,
fight.
So I can cast the lightning bolt down. So let's see. The bolt begins at a range and height decided by the cat and streaks outward in a direct line from the casting wizard. So I need to get myself in front of the shaft. So I am running. I don't know. Where did you say I was, Neal?
I was going to say you were probably not behind the people so that you'd be out of the way of breath weapon and dragons sneaking out of the water. I think you were probably like maybe up on top of the hill so you can oversee their actions, are close enough to intervene but far enough away from the water that a dragon wouldn't be able to pop out and one-shot you.
So I can move how many feet and
100.
Whatever, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I don't even burn a lightning bolt, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think you probably snap up. It's been a quiet night, and you snap to attention. I could even roll for surprise, which you well pass. So even if you act on the next round, you pop down, throw your lightning bolt, but the dragon goes first. And
I don't think I throw a lightning bolt, is what you're saying.
Okay.
What we're saying.
Yeah. By the time you look into the mine, it's just this, yellowish greenish vapor. The wall is collapsed, and the person underneath it is dead.
Oh well.
Reload that
Right.
ballista. We'll see how much more salt Garrett can take before he just drinks his gaseous form and cheeses Neal's dragon to death.
All right. I'll wake up because I'm not camping back at the tower. I'm going to camp out here in case it comes out and it has to fight. So I'll wake up when it roars and assess the situation and just, I guess, order the screen rebuilt.
Yeah, so some guy died. I guess you can rebuild this stream. Maybe I'll just memorize Unseen Servants for the next day. We'll see.
Yep, if we can get him going. But
The screen gets rebuilt. Takes another day to do that.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
We can get Unseen Servants on the go though for that day. So I'll learn it. Is it level 2 or level 1 Unseen Servant? It's level 1.
Do we have any need for more walls of iron?
Only if it were to come out and we need to block it in, but I don't think so.
I don't think that's going to be a problem at this point.
Yeah. I'll learn 2 Unseen Servants this day and start the thing going while the screen's getting built.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll learn a couple as well, so I can keep it running all day. So I'll take a nap as soon as day breaks, and let Malachi take a shift.
Yeah. So I've got 2 hours plus another, so 4.5 hours almost, 4 hours and 40 minutes of Unseen Servants.
What's the size of your wall of iron, Ryan?
Like 11 by 11 or something like that, 12 by 12.
Yeah.
I may even be able to double that and have the thickness. I think are you thinking
you can double the volume, and I just wanted to figure out what the size for all the things.
But I don't think it wasn't a 15-foot diameter, was it? Like it was probably longer in one dimension.
I'm just having trouble figuring out the exact diameter of a dragon, but I think you can double this volume double the area by having the volume or the thickness, right?
Yeah.
Wall of iron. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you could definitely block off the area. That's not a question. I'm just trying to figure out what's not called. Isn't it called Wall of Iron? What's the name of the spell?
Yeah. Well, tell me how big the hole.
Yeah.
Are you're modifying your hole around the spell?
No, I'm not modifying my hole around the spell.
15 times.
God. You'd think after you've been playing D&D with someone for like 20 years, maybe not quite 20, but for like 16 years, they would trust you.
No, not even
Maybe that
close.
says more about you than Ryan, Neal.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't. I looked up all the ballista ranges, and you still didn't trust me. So it goes both ways.
It's true. That's true.
So what were the dimensions of the hole?
It's probably around 15 feet across, maybe a little smaller than 15 feet across.
And a perfect circle?
I mean, it's not a perfect circle, but in a circular form, yeah.
So I think the thickness will have to be halved.
Right.
You two should stop playing around with these holes.
And then so that would mean the remainder of it extends out into the earth around it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we take a break here, actually,
okay.
if you don't mind, and we'll be back on the other side with the rest of our show. See you guys in a few minutes.